Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Good morning.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
John, it's almost Friday.
It is.
That's true.
You're right. It is 2 days away from Friday. Is there something?
No, I'm just trying to
about
get our movie premieres next Tuesday, and I have so much work
That's
that's
right.
got to be done, and I'm running out of time.
Yeah, you got the premiere of White Devils
White Devils.
coming next Tuesday, which I'm excited about going to and watching.
It's gonna be big fun. You can buy tickets on Eventbrite.
I'm going to be there. And listen, guys, this is what our little show is. For those of you who are new around here, we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming and all that good stuff, because it is good being a movie fan, man. And we love the fact that you're here to join us on the journey. And listen, by the way, also in the show, you guys can fire in questions for us to address if you'd like by sending them to our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. The tip link is actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not just when we're live. So if you happen to be listening to our podcast, either on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you happen to be watching the show a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question if you'd like. And if you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. By the way, just a little housekeeping here. I dropped a little announcement in our community tab.
We love announcements.
We've got the next round of our movie meetups.
Can I just say this is the most insane thing you've done yet?
Movie meetups?
No, of the movie meetups. You've done incredible movie meetups, but this might be.
Yeah, this one's pretty cool. As of right now, the movie meetups are on November 18th, I'm going to be in Austin, Texas. The next night, on November 19th, I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas. On November 21st, we're going to be in the Atlanta area. And then on November 23rd, we're going to be in Orlando. Now, we might add one or two more stops to that, but that's what we've got right now. I'm thinking about maybe New Orleans. I just don't know if we have enough viewers in New Orleans for me to go there.
You should just go anyway.
Maybe. That might be a valid argument.
Remember, no matter how many people you have in New Orleans, there's lots of spirits and dead people
That's
walking
true.
around. They'll be in the theater. You might not know they're there, but they're there.
And according to the television show, The Originals, there's a lot of vampires there. So maybe we'll run into some of those. Yeah, we don't have movie times or which specific theaters we're going to be at for any of those yet, but just to let you know, that's what's coming up.
John, those are really fun too. I can't emphasize enough. If
you were at our Las Vegas movie.
Yeah,
meetup.
it was so. The people that go are so great. They're so much fun to meet and talk to, and they've all got different stories about watching the show.
Yeah,
it's really cool. So if you guys have an opportunity, check it out.
It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys. With that all down, let's get things started here, shall we? We're going to get things going with this. You know, Elizabeth Olsen, ever since she kind of broke out in that little indie film, Mary, Elizabeth, Sue, Deborah, Keena, and Matricia, whatever the actual
Mary, May, Mercy, Marlene.
Mary, May, Mercy, whatever. Anyway, that was the one she kind of broke out at, where everybody went, wait a minute, there's another Olsen sister? Anyway, that's where she kind of broke out, of course, most well known for being Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch in the MCU. Well, she said something interesting the other day, because we've been talking a lot about the future of the theatrical movie-going experience. Real film fans want to see real movies in real theaters, sort of thing. Well, I just thought she said something kind of interesting here. Variety is reporting this. Elizabeth Olsen has said she will not act in a studio movie if there's no theatrical release guarantee. She said, I don't want to make movies where streaming is the end-all. And she said the following. Elizabeth Olsen told InStyle magazine as a part of a new cover story that she is no longer signing on to Hollywood studio movies that don't have a guaranteed theatrical release. As an indie film darling since the start of her career with 2011's Martha Marcy May Marlene,
there we
which is
go.
The actual name of it. I'll never purely remember the name of that movie, although it is great. It's a great film.
Martha.
Olsen is comfortable acting in a movie without distribution that gets sold on a streamer, but her preference is always a theatrical release. If a movie is made independently, like a little indie film, and only sells to a streamer, that's fine. But I don't want to make something where streaming is the end all, Olsen said. I think it's important for people to gather as a community, to see other humans be together in a space. That's why I like sports. I think it's really powerful for people to come together for something that they're excited about. We don't even audition in person anymore.
God bless her. I've always loved her. Love her more now.
I always loved her. And you know what the funny thing is? Despite the fact that she's just refused to do anything big recently, like she gets offered everything right now. Like she's incredibly in demand. She's a fantastic actress.
She is.
But I mean, I really like this thing of her because, you know, actors are also artists. I mean, it's their job. It's their business. They need to make, make money. I get it. It's also their job, but they're artists too. And they want to make things they hope to make things that have long lasting cultural impact. Streaming movies will never do that. Only theatrical movies can do that. And I love the fact that she's kind of just doing her own little part. Now, is Paramount going to go, well, we were going to make this movie to go directly to streaming, but we want Elizabeth Olsen in it, so let's make it a theatrical film. Like, is this going to completely move the needle for a lot of studios? No, it's not. But I would love it if somebody of the caliber and of the prestige level of Olsen says that. If more actors come out and start saying that, saying, yeah, I mean, obviously you can't have struggling actors who are just trying to get it into the business. They can't do that. I don't blame them for that, of course. But it would be great if we saw some more established actors too start going, hey, you know what? I love being in good films, but I need to see a guarantee that it's going to be a theatrical film. Because obviously, you know, remember all the drama that happened with the Roadhouse remake?
Yeah.
Like where the director came out and completely bashed the studio because he was like, they promised me this movie was going to get a theatrical release. And then it didn't. We all, of course, remember what happened with Scarlett Johansson with her Black Widow movie when Disney decided to put it, started a lawsuit that she won that fight, by the way. I mean, I would like to see more do this. Again, I don't blame any actor that doesn't. Of course not. I'm just saying this aligned with my preferences, so I kind of thought I'd highlight. What do you think about what Elizabeth Olsen said?
Oh, I love it. I mean, look, you know, everything that means something to us, we have to imbue it with meaning. We decide what things are important, not just in our lives, but culturally as well. And, you know, I believe that art has always been important. Yes, it is a luxury. You have to survive before you can start making art, but or at least art that's going to endure. And I think for her to stand up for the communal experience of movie going, because John, as I've said a million times before, what other art form or what other event, I mean, sporting events, I guess, do this, but people yell and scream at each other at sporting events too. All people from all walks of life, every shape, size, color, creed, sexuality, religious belief, political affiliation, everybody puts their differences aside when they go see a movie. They all get in the same room together. They all sit down in the same seats right next to one another. And they're all there for the same thing, to see the lights go down and to see that story presented on the screen.
Yeah.
That itself, and that's exactly what she was saying. She said that in that quote. I like it when people get together. That's why I like sports. That's why I like movies. And the thing is, this collectively gives us something. It gives us glue. If we've all seen the same film, we can all talk about it. That's something that crosses all cultural barriers. And like, look, everyone's seen Star Wars movies. Everybody's seen Harry Potter movies. People love Shawshank Redemption. Everyone loves Jaws. You know, Jaws is a movie that after 50 years, people can all tell you a story about when the first time they saw it. So God bless Elizabeth Olsen. Not only is she beautiful, not only is she a great actress, not only is she smart, and not only does she have a premium artisan hot toy figure of Scarlet Witch, she is awesome. Awesome.
By the way, it reminds me a lot of the position that Tom Cruise took when he had Top Gun Maverick made. And then, of course, pandemic hit and Paramount, understanding Paramount was sitting on a very expensive film. They didn't know how long the pandemic was going to last. And said, well, we're going to put it up on Paramount Plus. Tom Cruise said, no, you ain't. Pardon me. Sorry, I had a drop of my drink go down the wrong pipe.
Yeah.
He said, no, you're not. We're going to sit and we're going to wait. And we're going to wait as long as we need to wait. What was the result of that? $1 billion film.
And it became a cultural event. Everybody went. Everybody talked about it. For a while, it was a glue that put our culture together. And people could talk about how much fun they had, how much they enjoyed it. I mean, that's what movies did. Tom Cruise is right. He
Yeah.
was right to do that. And Paramount, cha-ching.
They definitely profited from it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of Elizabeth Olsen's comment? I love hearing her say that. Now, granted, she's an actress of a particular level that she can say that and it has some meaning. 90% of actors don't have that, but I would love it if more took that kind of position, like Tom Cruise, her, and others. Be great to see whatever you guys think. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. You know, the DCU is off to a incredible start. The success they had with Superman, the ratings bonanza that they had with Peacemaker Season 2. I still didn't really like the finale, but whatever. The season as a whole was fantastic, and the ratings were through the roof. Well, the one thing that all of us in this room, at least, are really looking forward to is Lanterns. This is the one I'm like really stoked to see. After Superman, I think my next highest excited thing, most anticipated thing is this Lantern series. I cannot wait. Now, we know roughly when it's coming out, but we don't have an exact release date yet. Well, now we might be getting a trailer sooner than we thought. Because according to James Gunn, there is a trailer. And he's seen it. Although, he doesn't know when it's going to come out. This comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant. He confirmed that he has seen the sneak peek for the series. However, the DC Studios co-CEO, James Gunn, said, I think at least where it is now, but I have no clue. When that's planned to be shown, with HBO, the marketing is so different than film.
That's interesting that you said that.
I think there's two interesting things here. Number one, I think it's really interesting that they've got a preview ready for Lanterns. Of course, remember, they wrapped production on Lanterns a little while ago. So they're done all the principal photography. They've got plenty of stuff to make a sizzle out of should they want. So it's not tremendously, surprising to find out they've got a trailer. I am dying to see it. But not because, look, normally I don't get really excited about when is a trailer coming. I get excited about trailers, but I'm never like, oh my gosh, when's the trailer coming? When's the trailer coming? Whatever. But because I just don't know what this movie, or this show, I should say, is even remotely going to be like. I mean, they keep saying it's like True Detective mixed with something else. They keep saying that, but until we actually get an idea for it, like I wasn't salivating to see the trailer for Peacemaker Season 2, not because I wasn't excited for Peacemaker Season 2, I very much was, but it's like, okay, but I know what Peacemaker is. I know what it is, right? With Lanterns, I really have no idea what the tone of that show is going to be like. And I cannot wait to get our first look. So I think it's really interesting that James Gunn has sat down, he's watched it, it's there. So I think that's interesting. But the second interesting thing here is that he's not the one making the decision as to when it gets released. And I think this is key because we talk about this a lot on the show, about the difference between the production company and the distributor. Some people think, like when Marvel makes a Spider-Man movie, they get no say in the trailer, and they get no say about when the trailer plays or how the marketing goes, because Sony is the distributor for those films, so therefore they're in charge of that. James Gunn and Peter Safran are the CEOs of DC, but this show is going to be airing on HBO. HBO Max, still under the same Warner Brothers umbrella, of course, but HBO Max, they're the distributor for all intents and purposes here. They are the ones who will decide, well, how are we going to make these trailers? What are the trailers going to feel like? And when are we going to drop the trailer and all that kind of stuff? So James Gunn, unlike with his movies where he is in charge of all that, and unlike his movies, he's like, I don't know when they're going to drop it. He said, this is different than movies. The timing for dropping marketing for television is way different than movies. So I found that interesting too. Anyway, Rob, James Gunn is saying he's seen the first teaser for Lanterns.
Seen it.
What are you hoping to see out of it? When do you think we might see it? And what do you think about what he said?
Look, I think we're all excited for this. The potential, for me, I'm really excited for the tone, the kind of, I think what's really interesting, the tone of James Gunn's Superman is very, very different from the tone of what Zack Snyder did with Superman. And I think the tone is an issue that people don't talk about really enough. And to me, the tone of Lanterns is going to be really interesting because I think it's going to be different than Superman, than Gunn's Superman, different than Gunn's Suicide Squad, for instance, different than his humorous take. I mean, it seems like it's much more of a serious, it's weird to say this about Green Lanterns, but grounded take. So I'm really curious to see that, because it's the first time that we're seeing something that James Gunn didn't write and direct, that he wasn't in charge of. He wasn't the showrunner of it. So it's going to be really, it's the first time that we're going to see what does James Gunn's DC universe look like when it's not James Gunn himself writing and directing. So that's really exciting. But I love the fact that James Gunn's like, yeah, I gave it to HBO, because I'm sure the HBO executives are like, listen, when we promote Night of the Seven Kingdoms in the 3rd season of House of the Dragon, we've got it covered.
Yeah, we're good.
We'll take care of your little lantern show. You can trust us. By the way, we were okay on The Sopranos, and we were okay. I mean, they can just list out everything. And James Gunn's probably, and that's why people sometimes don't understand that even though he's the head of a studio and directing, billion-dollar movies or whatever, potentially billion-dollar franchises, he still has to then, he's subordinate to what HBO marketing wants to do.
Yeah.
Which I love that. I mean, people need to remember that, no one is the king of the world in Hollywood. Everybody's the king of their hill. And when you go to someone else's hill, you have to be respectful of that hill and let them do what they do. I like that.
It's going to be, look, I'm still suspecting that, we heard some rumors recently that the center might be the whatever. I still think it's going to be more of a murder mystery kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be one of two things. I don't base this on anything. This is just me guessing. We already know that Guy Gardner is in the show. I think there's a very good chance Guy Gardner gets murdered. And this is going to, part of this thing might be figuring out who murdered Guy Gardner. Because Guy Gardner is a character we now know and we've gotten to know, and therefore his murder will have an emotional impact or give us some stakes in this as audience members. I think the other possibility of somebody got murdered is Kyle Rayner, another Green Lantern comic book character that, listen, they've already got plenty of Green Lanterns. I don't think they need to have a Kyle Rayner. So maybe he was another Green Lantern and he gets murdered, and no big loss for DC. I don't know, but I still do think it's going to be a murder mystery. I certainly hope it's going to be a murder mystery, but we'll see where they go with it.
I just like the idea of cosmic characters coming to Earth to solve a murder.
Yes. Although primarily it's going to be John Stewart and it's going to be Hal.
Yeah.
But who are already Earth-based.
Yeah, but I mean, they still have the power cosmic, the Guardians of Oa, I should say.
I was going to just ask this. Do you think we're going to get at least appearances of other core members? Could we see a Kilowog? Could we see, could they hint at Sinestro? Could they reference Oa? I mean, how do you think?
I think 100%, because what's really interesting is because we're getting Hal Jordan and John Stewart, there's now a lineage of Green Lanterns, which means there's a history. So we're going to delve into the history, I'm sure, of the whole Green Lantern Corps, and I find that interesting. I think that in terms of, look, I love lore and mythology and world building when it comes to these kinds of things. So the fact that you're going to have multiple generations of Green Lanterns is going to be, it's going to be wild, because first of all, they have to set up who Green Lanterns are. Who are they? And who are they in this universe? Are they the Guardians of Oa? Or is it something else? I mean, wouldn't they have to be? And then do you have the Green Lantern oath? Beware my power, Green Lantern's light. I mean, are you going to explain what the different kinds... does Sinestro already exist?
I forgot. People are pointing out in the live chat, and they're right. I forgot about that. They've already cast Sinestro. Yeah. So Sinestro is actually, now whether or not he's still a member of the Green Lantern Corps.
Right, that's the thing. I mean,
something else already.
I think it's going to be fascinating because the Green Lanterns alone have such a huge mythology. I mean, look, I really love the Jeff Johns, his entire run, what he did with Green Lanterns, with all the different, the Sinestro Corps War and Blackest Night and all that. I was in for a penny, in for a pound and all that stuff. And I think it's a really rich lore. I can't wait to see what they do. I'm really excited. I have to say, I'm really excited for this show. More so than I probably should be.
I'll tell you what, I'll go one step further. I'm really stoked for the Supergirl show or a Supergirl movie.
Me too.
Like, I'm very excited for it. I'm excited about Clayface, especially knowing who wrote it. But I think by far I am most excited for Lanterns. I think if James Gunn came over and said, listen, on one hand, I've got a copy of Supergirl the movie. In this hand, I got a copy of the Lantern series. Which one you want to watch, Campy? You can only pick one. I think I'm picking the Lanterns.
I got to go with you on that because, dude, I've loved Green Lantern since I was a little kid. The fact that they're making a Green Lantern TV show, when I think about it, I think it's kind of under the radar, because it's called Lanterns. It's not Green Lantern. So people, but Green Lantern is a science fiction character with outer space origin. I can't wait for this show. I hope it's great.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? James Gunn has said he's seen the teaser for Lanterns. Doesn't know when they're going to drop it. I don't think we'll get one this year. I think they'll probably early in 2026. But whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this. A film that I still might think right now, having not seen Deliver Me From Nowhere yet, having not seen Marty Supreme and one or two others, I think I still find Sinners to be the best film of the year. I think I'm still sitting on that right now. But it's close between that and a couple. Now listen, Sinners did very well for what it was, but it wasn't, an $800 million film or anything. But when it was out, if you wanted to see Sinners in an IMAX screen, good luck. I remember my buddy Soul texting me saying, I literally just had to book my tickets 3 weeks in advance to watch it in IMAX. Now, once it was done its run, it had a little re-release in IMAX. Well, according to Variety, they're re-releasing it in IMAX again. As the reports here are saying that Sinners is set an IMAX re-release for Halloween and is going to run for a week. Says this, Sinners will return to IMAX theaters in time for Halloween. The R-rated box office smash, directed by Ryan Coogler and starring Michael B. Jordan, will be back in select locations for 1 week starting on October 30th. This is the second IMAX re-release for Sinners, which returned to the country's biggest and brightest screens in May after the film's initial run was cut short to make room for Marvel's The Thunderbolts. I got two thoughts on this. My first thought is, I don't see the point of re-releasing Sinners. Because, Jonathan, can you pull up how much Sinners made at the box office?
Yes.
Worldwide? It was a very good amount for an R-rated vampire movie. But again, not a $700, $800 million film, right?
366 worldwide.
366 million worldwide, which broke several records for the genre. So I'm thinking, I don't know if a lot of people are going to go. But on the other hand, man, when this thing was on IMAX screens, people couldn't get enough of it. And they just wanted to flock out and see it. So you know what? I'm going to fall on the side of, I think this is a good idea. And you know what? Well, I'm not normally one to run back to a theater to watch a re-release of a movie that was just out a few months ago. Yeah, hell, Rob, I think I'm going to go to an IMAX screen and watch Sinners again. Might be the last chance I ever get to do it. I think I might go and see this myself. Anyway, what do you think of this?
I think it's great. You know what they should do? They should put people outside the theater that you have to find and ask to be invited in.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Why you got to do that? Why you got to be, but you have to find the right person. Of course, that's probably not very effective when you need to let hundreds of people into a theater at once. But, dude, I would go see this. This film is gorgeous to look at.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous to look at. And the only way you can really appreciate the music is to hear it through those pounding, thunderous IMAX speakers. Although, Dolby Theater, the AMC is pretty damn good, too. But IMAX, man, yes. Warner Brothers should just re-release One Battle After Another and Sinners as a double feature in IMAX. So did
One Battle After Another do well in IMAX, or did it even?
I think it did pretty well in IMAX.
Did it? I didn't even know it hit
VistaVision IMAX.
It was shot for IMAX.
Yeah, it was shot in VistaVision.
Yeah,
that's right. By the way, one of our viewers here. Let me see if I can find it. Where did they go? But one of our viewers is saying, I think. Where did it go? It was right here. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going to miss the. Oh, there it is. Atomic Brunette in our live chat. It raises a really good point too. That. I think this could also be for award season campaign.
That's what I was going to say. We were talking about this yesterday, and is it getting overshadowed?
Yeah, I mean, look, you come out early. A lot of the What Have You Done For Me latelys. I mean, we've seen historically, you can open a film early in the year and still do well when it comes to Oscar time. But this is probably a putting it back in front of everybody's faces move too, which is great because this movie's going to get a number of Academy Award nominations.
100%.
It doesn't have a lot of competition that weekend either. I'm looking at the calendar. I know that Back to the Future is coming out on the 31st, and it's booked IMAX screen, so we'll have some competition on that day. But it's for like a week, right? The Sinners is going to be out.
Yep, 1
so
week.
one day, and then oddly enough, Twilight is being released too over that weekend.
Twilight's being, but not nationwide.
Like an
is it?
anniversary, a nationwide anniversary.
Wow.
But I mean, whatever.
There will be people going to see a Twilight release. You may think nobody will.
No, they're going.
It's going to get people out to that. There are going to be people that are going to go to that Twilight thing.
Oh.
Hey, make it a vampire double feature.
That's what I was going to say. Twice Sinners. Twice Sinners. You've seen it twice.
So anyway, I really like this. I hope it does well for them. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about them re-releasing Sinners now back in IMAX theaters? Are you going to run out and check it out? I know I probably am. I'm really actually kind of excited to go see it again. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. We still got a couple of other things to talk about here, including it's official. Mitchell's versus the Machines 2
Oh boy.
is coming. We're going to talk about that. And want to talk about a victory lap? David Zaslav is sealing the win and taking a victory lap. Oh, and by the way, Paramount is offering to make him their CEO. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at Zapier. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Zapier. One of the biggest game changers of the past year has been AI. But let's be real, just talking about AI doesn't actually make your day any more productive. What does make it more productive is finding tools to put AI to work for you. And that's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is the easiest way to take AI and plug it directly into the apps and processes that you're already using every day. No IT bottlenecks, no complexity, just results. For me, it's been about saving time on repetitive stuff so I can focus on the work that matters and I actually enjoy. And it's not just me. Over 3.4 million companies are already using Zapier to streamline everything from sales and marketing to IT and HR. With their AI orchestration platform, you can connect top AI models like ChatGPT or Claude right into the apps you already use. So whether it's automatically enriching leads, coaching your sales team, or even resolving IT tickets, Zapier makes it simple. Guys, join the 3.4 million companies already automating with Zapier and transform how you work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/Campea. That's zapier.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Zapier for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, that down, let's move on to this, shall we? When it comes to Sony Animation being on Netflix, everybody thinks that K-Pop Demon Hunters was the big breakout one. And listen, K-Pop Demon Hunters is the most viewed original film ever in the history of Netflix. So good on them. I think you're going to hear, again, I believe we're going to see multiple songs from that movie get nominated for Best Song at the Academy Awards. I don't know off the top of my head if that's ever happened. Maybe it has. But I think we're going to get multiples of that. Anyway, lest you forget, a few years ago, there was a little Sony animated film called Mitchell's versus the Machines. Now, for me, the vast majority of Netflix originals are complete and utter gutter trash. They're awful. But once in a while, one out of every 40, 50, 60, 70, 100, you'll get a diamond in the rough. Mitchell's versus the Machines was one of those diamonds in the rough. I remember I didn't have much interest in it. It's like, it's going straight to Netflix. I didn't think it looked all that great. It seemed I didn't think the trailers were all that great. But one night, Ann and I were home and we'd heard some good things about it. So we're like, let's watch it. Why not? And I was thoroughly entertained by this film.
And it is Sony Animation, right?
Yep.
So.
I was thoroughly entertained. I thought this was a really fun, not Best Animated Film of the Year, but it did get nominated for Best Animated Film of the Year. But I thought it was a really good outing. And it looks like, according to this article in Variety, the Mitchells versus the Machines 2 is in the works from Netflix and Sony Animation exclusive. They said the following. The Mitchells and the Machines are readying for a rematch. Sony Pictures Animation is making a sequel to its 2021 Oscar-nominated feature, Mitchells vs. the Machines, with Guillermo Martinez, head of story for the first Mitchells film, and J.P. Sands, co-director of The Bad Guys 2, signing on to direct, marking Martinez's directorial debut. Wendy Molyneux, I hope I'm saying that right, and Lizzie Molyneux of the Great North, known professionally as the Molyneux sisters, are writing the screenplay. Production is expected to begin in 2026, which probably means a late 2027, maybe early 2028 release. So it's still a far ways off. Listen, I'm going to admit something. I've kind of forgotten about Mitchells vs. the Machines. Again, it's been about 4 years since it came out. It was a direct to streaming thing, so it didn't have any real cultural impact. I am a little bummed that it means it's going to be another direct to Netflix thing, because I think the quality of the first one deserves to be a theatrically released film, but still, I'm just kind of happy they're making it. Now, it's going to be different directors than the ones that made the first one, but we do have one of the directors is going to be the directorial debut. They were head of story for the first one, so there is some continuity there. I'm going to mark this one down, Rob, as one I'm looking forward to. Again, I thought the first one was a really great little pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
I thought it was charming. It was surprisingly funny. And it has some really I love it when these movies like Pixar will often have these moments where you get choked up. It had that as well. It was a little bit silly at times. I mean, a little bit, they should all be a little bit silly, but it's sometimes a little bit over the line silly, but still solid film. I'm looking forward to seeing this. What do you make of this?
Well, I have not seen the first film.
Oh, you haven't?
I have not.
Gotta watch,
everyone,
you gotta watch.
you are
It's
not
a
the
fun
first to
little
tell
film.
me this. Everyone has told me that it was good. You know, that people liked it, and I just never caught up with it. I don't know why. Maybe because it's on Netflix and I didn't even know that. But look, if something is successful, you know, and you want to follow it up, I mean, movies. Look, if we wouldn't, sometimes sequels can be better, as we know. Not usually, but sometimes they can be. And this is the kind of thing. Look, animated properties are some of the. I think no one's ever done a study of this, but per capita, I'll bet you that the level of animated sequels, the level of success of animated sequels, probably has to be greater than the level of success of live action sequels, because it takes longer to make animated sequels. They have to make story reels. They have to figure out, you know, they're very iterative. So if something doesn't work, they can change them. That's why Pixar is able to make a Toy Story 2, you know, or Monsters Inc. 2 or whatever. I mean, and I'll bet this is probably pretty good. So why not? That's great. It's great. It's getting made.
Yeah, Rob, you got to schedule some time this week.
I'll watch it.
Just sit again. I'm not saying it's Toy Story, okay? I'm not saying it's Wall-E.
No, but
it's a really charming, solid little animated film that I was very pleasantly surprised by. Anyway, guys.
I love the premise.
Question is for you. What do you think about this? It is now official. We are getting a Mitchells versus the Machines 2. It is, again, unfortunately, going to be just straight to Netflix, but I am still looking forward to seeing it. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. You know, one of the big major topics of conversation around the entire movie world the last few weeks has been the potential sale of Warner Brothers. And a lot of things have been developing. We found out that Paramount made not one, not two, but 3 offers to buy the company in 3 different occasions, and they were rejected every single time. We found out the other day from David Zaslav that both Netflix and Comcast have thrown their names, have contacted Warner Brothers with interest of buying it. And now we're finding out a couple more things, including this. A report out of Bloomberg is saying that on top of Netflix, Paramount, and Comcast, David Zaslav has revealed in an investor's call that also Apple and Amazon have also reached out to them expressing interest in it. Now, he never broke down which ones are looking at buying the whole company like Paramount is, which ones are wanting Warner Brothers to split into 2 companies with the television networks on one side and the studio, and they just want to buy the studio. I'm assuming that's Amazon and Apple. But it's now official. Other than Disney, just about every major player is in this now. NBC, Universal, Comcast, Paramount, Apple, Amazon, Netflix. are all here in the running. Now, by the way, I had a bunch of people write to me and say, John, Ted Sarandos said he's not interested in it. No, he did not. What Ted Sarandos specifically said was that they have no interest in legacy networks, which I don't think Apple or Amazon is going to be interested in either. They're only going to be interested in buying if they split the company out and they can buy that. And they have contacted Warner Brothers to already start the process of discussions. So there's all that. So that's interesting. It's now official. We suspected, Rob, that Apple and Amazon would both get in the running for this, but now it's official. They're in the running for it. But man, Paramount really wants Warner Brothers. As a matter of fact, I will say this. I had an insider tell me last week, this is the phrase they used, okay? Ellison is hell-bent on getting Warner Brothers. I will not say who told me that. Just believe me when I tell you it's somebody closely positioned. Ellison is hell-bent on getting Warner Brothers. This isn't just kicking the tires, which we already kind of knew because of the fact they made 3 offers. Hell-bent on getting it. How hell-bent? This hell-bent. According to the Wrap, Paramount's up the ante. Not only do they want to get Warner Brothers and merge it in with Paramount, he's even saying, Ellison, who is the chair and the CEO of Skydance Paramount, he's saying, hey, David Zaslav, I will make you my co-CEO and my co-chairman. You will be my partner. Like James Gunn and Peter Safran, you will be the head, along with me. David Zaslav, you will be the head of the entire company. The Paramount Warner Brothers merger, you're going to be the co-CEO of the whole damn thing. Now, I think that's a very interesting way to up the ante. That is a very interesting way to up the ante. And some people might then ask, and I get this. Now, for those of you who watched my open mic last night, you've heard me say this already, but for everybody who wasn't there for open mic last night, it would be fair for you to ask, wait a minute now. Why is Apple and Amazon and Netflix and Paramount and Universal and Comcast, why do they all want Warner Brothers? Haven't we heard before that this was a company that was in bad shape? And forgive me if I'm wrong, but why, some people might be asking, why would the Ellisons say, hey, David Zaslav, come and be the guy to run this whole thing. Be my partner, be my co-CEO, my co-chairman of the board. And we'll run this thing together. Why would they do that? I'm going to tell you why. You know, a little bit of context here. I have been the lone voice in the desert wilderness for the last couple of years, telling y'all everything other than renaming HBO Max just to Max and taking out the HBO name, which they later had a reverse course on. That was stupid. No argument from me. But I've been the one guy who's been saying for years, every little thing that Zaslav has done has gone, that's going to be unpopular, but it's the right move. Ooh, he just did this. That's going to be unpopular, but it's brilliant. Ooh, he did this thing. Everybody's going to hate that, but it's the right thing. And while everybody's been telling me, oh, no, David Zaslav doesn't know what he's doing. The X is Zaslav. You know, I've been saying, you'll see. You'll see. Well, there's no better way to make people see things than with cold, hard numbers. You want some cold, hard numbers? Let's jump over to the Campea classroom here for a second, shall we? Let's talk about the remarkable turnaround of Warner Brothers. This comes to us from Fortune Magazine and Yahoo Finance. Going back, AT&T, we got to set the stage here. Everybody needs to remember this. AT&T acquired Warner Brothers in 2016, not that long ago. Because remember, Warner Brothers used to be under the ownership of AT&T. AT&T got Warner Brothers in 2016 for a combined deal valued at $108 billion. And I've told you guys for a long time, they ran that into the ground. They practically killed the company. Want to see the numbers? Here it is. In 2021, just 5 years later, They announced their divestiture of the company. That means selling off the company. Their divestiture of the company in a deal with Discovery with a reported value of $43 billion.
Oops.
In 5 years, you want to know how badly AT&T damaged that company? In 5 years, that company from 2016 to 2021 went from a total combined value sale of $108 billion to 43. Guys, they didn't lose $10. They didn't lose $1 million. They didn't lose $1 billion. They lost $65 billion.
So close.
If you want to talk about a death, now the reason I'm setting this stage is you have to understand the context and the condition of the company when David Zaslav took it over. Okay? So in 5 years under AT&T, the company lost $65 billion in value. It went straight to hell. They did the whole thing, goes, hey guys, let's just release all of our movies on streaming. And it pissed off all their creative partners. It pissed off their fellow studios. Legendary Studios sued them over it. Christopher Nolan said, F you, I'm out. And Christopher Nolan left the studio over it. That's how badly they killed this thing. That's how badly it was. So people have heard me say that when David Zaslav and Discovery took over Warner Brothers was a dying patient on a table, bleeding out from every orifice with 72 stab wounds and 19 bullet shot wounds, and there was no way this thing was going to survive. That's the company that David Zaslav took over. Okay? Now, you want to know why all these companies are lining up and making offers? You want to know why David Ellison is making the offer to David Zaslav? Hey, sell it to us and you will be the co-head of this entire operation. Why would he do that? Here's why. Analysts at the Bank of America now estimate that Warner Brothers Discovery could be sold at approximately a US value of $30 per share, making the enterprise value roughly $74 billion or higher. Any acquirer would also likely need to assume the debt of the company, being $35 billion of debt, so that the enterprise value could be materially higher. Again, this comes from us from Fast Company and Yahoo Finance. So whereas AT&T had it at 103 and drove the value down to 43 billion, David Zaslav comes in, resuscitates the dying patient, does his magic triage, takes the axe of Zaslav and cuts off the gangrene infection, and he brings Warner Brothers back to life. And whereas AT&T went from a value of 108 billion down to 43 billion, according to the Bank of America estimates, they're saying this thing's going to sell for around 75 billion or more, which represents a 60% increase in value from when he took it over.
And wiping out the debt.
And getting the debt assumed. The kiddies call that a mic drop. For everybody who's like, boo-hoo, David Zaslav didn't release the Batgirl movie. You know who wins? David Zaslav wins. He wins. He saved the company. This thing was going to be dead within a year when it got sold. It was going to be dead within a year. And what did we have? We had a 2025 where the studio side, they just set the all-time Hollywood record for most consecutive movies released by a studio to open to over $40 million.
And New Line made $1.2 billion this year, and they're still cooking.
That's what they did. They revived the DC brand. They brought respect back to the Warner Brothers studio, which they had completely lost under AT&T and Jason Kilar. And now, let me put it in a sports terminology for you. You had a head coach take over a team that had 108 wins and then led them to just 43 wins. Yeah, that coach sucked. You get the next coach come in and take a 43 win team and bring it to a 75 or an 85 win team. That's coach of the year. That's coach of the year. It's the end of the argument, everybody. everything David Zaslav did, which I have said for years, that he's going to save this company, he's going to bring it back. It comes down to this. A company that went from a value of 108 down to 43, and then he took it over and brought the value back up to 75 or 85 billion. Sorry, he wins. He just does. And if you're asking, well, why is David Olsen offering him the co-CEO? Because you want to bring on a guy who was able to take a studio that was dead on the table and raised its sale market value from 43 billion back up to 75 billion dollars. You want that guy. You want the guy who was heading up a studio who all the creatives in Hollywood ditched on.
You want me on that wall.
You need
me on that wall.
You know, you want the guy who
Put the wrong glasses on
revived
that
respect for the studio again after all the creatives ditched it because of what they did under Jason Kilar, and now have like record-setting thing. You want that guy to be your co-head of everything. Now, whether or not it'll happen or not, we'll see. I still kind of prefer that Apple takes it over. But David Zaslav is on a victory lap right now. Winning is always the ultimate justifier, and he wins. Anyway, Rob, a lot of stuff here. Apple and Amazon have now officially put in their names that they're in the race for this thing. The Ellisons and Paramount are offering David Zaslav the co-chairman role and co-CEO, not just of a Warner Brothers division, but of the entire Paramount umbrella company. You're seeing these dollar values being thrown around by Yahoo Finance and Fortune magazine. I don't know. What are the things you're taking away from here?
Well, okay. Before I say this, look, I want to see Warner Brothers remain autonomous. I want it to remain its own
That's
thing.
all of our first choice.
Oh yeah, we all
100%.
want that. Here's the thing. When AT&T bought Warner Brothers, they were interested because AT&T controlled the means of the pipeline that you send all this stuff throughout the world. And then they thought, oh, well, we're going to make our own stuff. And the problem was they didn't know anything about the business, so they brought all these people in that were incompetent, basically, to make movies. David Ellison has shown, being at Skydance, he's got the better part of 2 decades in Hollywood. He's very well liked. Larry Ellison's one of the richest men in the world. He doesn't need
Oracle's valued at like $800 billion.
Yeah, he's not coming in to like he's not somebody from Wall Street because it's wreckable. He wants to leave a legacy, and I believe Larry Ellison's in his 90s. He's like one of the best looking 90-year-olds ever, I think. I'm not sure. I think he is.
Yeah, I hope I look that good.
I know that guy's like, he's lived life well. So I think they're really trying to build something. Their interest is in they want to keep, David Ellison wants to make great movies and great entertainment. That's what he wants to do. And I think if they acquire the company, if that's going to happen, at least you have people that are not interested in just inflating its value and selling it. I don't think.
Oh, he's 81.
Oh, he's in only
Still
81,
looks great
not
for
90s.
81.
Still looks great as it. Okay. I don't know why I thought he was in his 90s.
I do not accept, I don't care what cosmetic surgery does. I do not accept that that's an 81-year-old man. Jeez. Anyway.
But still, I think that the two of them really do want to create as opposed to just taking a company, parting it out, and destroying it. I mean, Warner Brothers is worth, it's not everything should be about making money. We still need a culture. We still need a reason why we live in this world. And the thing is, having something like Warner Brothers around, what has Warner Brothers' core business been? Making entertainment to make people happy, to make our lives better, our lives of quiet desperation that with AI are soon becoming more and more desperate by the day. It's nice to still have people and companies that want to create, dare I say it, magic. And as long as that's their intent, hey, if it has to happen. I mean, David Zaslav, we made fun of him. We talked about the acts of Zaslav, but like you pointed out, he's done some good things. He's come in and he clearly enjoys what he's doing. So, I mean, I think that at least these people don't want to just destroy the company if it has to happen. And clearly making that offer to David Zaslav, that's not the thing is, David Zaslav can go be Joe, captain of industry. David Ellison wants to make movies. And I think Zaslav wants to, hey, we'll make movies and he'll be the cheerleader, but he also goes and does different things. He doesn't want to sit on set all day long and watch movies get made, eat crafty for the next 3 months.
I don't know, man. I was there at CinemaCon when he came out on stage, David Zaslav did, and gave this really impassioned speech about the love of movies and film. And you just know he loves like all that stuff. Now, look, I agree with everything you're saying, 100%. I think we all agree that our number one preference is that just Warner Brothers not be sold.
Right.
And there are upsides to it, to Paramount getting it. I still think my number one choice is not Paramount, though, because Paramount's just going to absorb Warner Brothers. I think HBO will still remain HBO, but I think they're just going to absorb Warner Brothers. And that's why I think my preference would be something like an Apple, because Apple would function with it like Disney functions with their sub studios, that Warner Brothers will still remain a studio. It will still function as a studio. It'll just be under the ownership of Apple. Whereas if it goes to something like Paramount, it's just going to get absorbed. And again, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I would really, really prefer, if it's going to be sold, and I think at this point, Rob, it's a foregone conclusion it's going to get sold. I would really prefer to see go to something like Apple that will probably keep it as an autonomous studio and let it run. But I don't know.
That's the thing. What people don't understand outside of Los Angeles is both Paramount and Warner Brothers have huge backlots. It's a real estate development deal as much as it is a studio deal that they're getting here. And I would hate to see, I love both backlots. I understand this is a silly thing to say. I've worked on both backlots. My first ongoing job in the industry was at Warner Brothers. I was a Star Trek consultant at Paramount, and I loved working on those lots. I would hate to see those backlots destroyed. Sony's got their lot across town. Disney still has its lot. But Paramount and Warner Brothers are both places you want LA's film business to open up again. Those are the primo production hubs, Paramount and Warner Brothers. And I would like to see them open for business and both of them just smoking away, making all kinds of new movies and television here in LA on those lots. I'd like to see that happen.
And, we talked about yesterday, too, that California just implemented some new incentives to keep production here. Things like Heat 2 is now going to shoot here. The new Jumanji is going to shoot here. So maybe stuff like that can all work towards that. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently now it's a feeding frenzy. Every single company, again, we haven't heard about Disney. I think Disney is still trying to get its legs back under it from the huge acquisition of 20th Century. I don't think they're going to be a player in this, but other than them, every major player is now getting in line to take a shot at Warner Brothers. And it sounds like Paramount is trying to sweeten the deal a little bit. Whatever you guys make of all this, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, it's time for us to go to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments. But before we do, we're going to bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
So, guys, let's now get over to your topics and questions, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
What do we have first? This thing bumped on me. Jeff says, hey, John, I don't think I ever heard you talk about the dumpster fire that was Old Guard 2. Seeing as how much you liked the first one, would love your thoughts on this film.
I skipped it. Yeah, here's the thing. When there's an actor or a director or an original film that I really love, and then I hear terrible things about the follow-up, I tend to skip it because I don't want to dislike. And I heard, here's the thing. I really liked Old Guard a lot. And I know some friends of mine that loved it too. And then those friends of mine saw Old Guard 2 early and they were like, it's terrible. I'm like, so I just didn't watch it. So yeah, I just took a pass on it because I didn't want to dislike it. So if I never watch it, then I can't dislike it. So I just decided not to watch it.
All right.
What's next?
Anonymous. In DC lore, the center has a history of mind control and cult worship. I think Lanterns will echo True Detective by focusing on the cult of the center's rituals and madness, more the horror of an ancient force manipulating people than a wacky sentient planet. If that's even what they were going for. That's it.
Remember, it's important. By the way, your rationale is sound.
Yeah.
But remember, this whole conversation about the center being a part of Lanterns all comes from a hat on the production crew and circles. That could just be the new logo in and of itself. So while I think you're rationalizing that out, it makes perfect sense. It's really good. I just want us all to keep in mind that Nobody anywhere has said on an official level that the center is a part of this. And this whole thing is all a result of a leaked picture of a hat that was given out at a wrap party. So we just need to keep that in mind. Not saying that that is impossible for the center to be a part of it. Not at all. But we just keep in mind that we should not assume that the center is a part of this show at all. All right. What's next?
All right. We got friend of the show says, congrats to George Springer. Great
big home run.
Yeah. Great local guy from Connecticut. UConn baseball alum, World Series champ with the Astros. And now he sends the Blue Jays to the World Series with one swing of his bat. Well, you know what? George Springer, the Dodgers would have words with thee.
It's gonna be, listen, I remember I talked about this on open mic last night. Like, somebody wrote into me and goes, John, I'll make you a bet that the Dodgers win the World Series, and if they do, you have to eat eggs with ketchup. I'm like,
why would you have a dog in this fight?
I'm like, well, number one, that's not how bets work. Bets work where, so what I said to him, I said, I'll tell you what, you send me a bank certified $10,000 cashier's check.
Perfect.
And if the Blue Jays win, I cash it. And if the Blue Jays lose, then I eat eggs. Bets don't work where I only stand to lose something.
Nothing happens to you if they win, but if
and by the way, I would never take that bet anyway, because I have very little doubt that the Dodgers are going to win. The Dodgers have the highest payroll in baseball history. They are loaded with some questionable middle relief, yes, but they're absolutely loaded from top to bottom with talent. I have very little doubt that anything can happen in a 7-game series for sure. But I mean, I would not bet against the Dodgers. I'm just super thrilled that the Jays are getting to the final. But on top of all that, and everybody knows I'm not a big baseball guy, but I get very interested once playoff time comes. Look, I'll say it. Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player in history. It's only a matter of time before everybody says it. Shohei Ohtani is the singular greatest baseball player in history. There has never been anybody like him, and I don't think there's ever going to be anybody like him again. You know, Jonathan, I was saying on the show last night that before this last series that they won, his game last year, where he joined the 50-50 club on the same, where he hit his 50th home run, got his 50th stolen base. He joined the 50-50 club, had multiple home runs, double, single, and 10 RBIs in one game. And I said that is the greatest single performance I've ever seen in a baseball game.
Anyone has seen.
That I think anybody's ever seen. That might be the greatest baseball performance in the history of the game.
I mean, he essentially won the game on his own. He pitched to them, then he ran over there and he threw it.
Oh, no. I'm talking about last year. I'm not
last
talking about
year,
this game.
for the 50-50.
I'm saying in the 50-50 game, prior to this series, I said that is the greatest performance I think I've ever seen in a game.
Yeah.
That was Shohei Ohtani.
He almost
well, it's not the greatest. It's not the greatest performance I've ever seen in a game now.
Yeah.
Because then he came in, pitched 7 shutout innings, 10 strikeouts, and 3 home runs. By the way, one of them went out of the park. Mm-hmm. It's never been done. It will never be done again. One guy now has the 2 greatest performances in a baseball game I've ever seen. He simply, listen, you don't have to be a big major baseball fan, because I'm not a big major baseball fan. I like baseball, but whatever for me. But I'm somebody who appreciates history in the making. And guys appreciate this. We are around right now to see the greatest baseball player ever right now. And it's going to be fun watching the World Series games. All right. What's next?
We got Thomas. Saw Chloe Zhao's Hamnet at London Film Festival. Jessie Buckley will 100% win the Oscar for Best Actress. Do you guys have any Oscar predictions?
It's always funny to me, people who have not seen the other people in the running guaranteeing who's going to win. Mm-hmm. Guys, you haven't seen a lot of the other films or so. By the way, Bulgonia is supposed to be amazing. Mm-hmm. Emma Stone is probably going to be in the running there again too. But no, listen, I'm a big Chloe Zhao fan. I loved Nomadland. I love that movie. And sure enough, it won her the Oscar for Best Director and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking forward to this one. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I wasn't at the festivals or anything, so I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I'm very excited about it because she's one of my favorite directors right now. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says Star Trek Strange New Worlds introduced Chaplin's ex-fiancee Dr. Corby in season 3. Will the remaining legacy characters, Bones, Sulu, Chekhov, be recurring, e.g. Kirk and Scotty, or limited episodes, guest characters, e.g. Dr. Corby?
I think they're going to keep it more limited.
This, I haven't seen any of it. This takes place before Kirk takes over the Enterprise as captain,
Yes,
right?
but he's a character in the show.
Okay.
And he's played by the guy who used to be in, what was the name of that vampire show?
The Vampire Diaries?
The Vampire Diaries, yeah. He was one of the guys from the Vampire Diaries. And he's a really good Kirk. He's really, really good. So I think they're going to do that. By the way, I want to address this for a second. Sorry, guys, it's the sports nut in me. But Espinoza, 1989, says, Ohtani needs to win more championships to be considered the GOAT. This isn't just a baseball thing. This is all sports fans. Is an idiotic thing to say that somebody needs to win titles to be considered the greatest, because an individual cannot win a title. You have to have a team with you. If just being the greatest would just guarantee you championships, Wayne Gretzky would have had 15 or 20 Stanley Cup wins, because he is the greatest hockey player of all time. He was the greatest hockey player on earth every single year that he was alive. But one player does not win championships. You have a team. Shohei Ohtani only comes to bat 5 times in a game. Only pitches once out of every 5 games. You need a team to win. Winning championships is not it. If so, then Michael Jordan would have the most NBA championships, and he doesn't. Mm-hmm. LeBron James would have the most NBA championships, and he doesn't. It's a radically insane thing for all sports fans to say, well, you got to win titles to be. No, because there's nothing you can do you can just do the best you can if the players around you don't do it as well. I've never considered number of titles. Like, I think Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
The fact that he has 7 Super Bowl rings helps the argument, but it's not the argument.
Right.
By that measure, you would say that Aaron Rodgers has never been that good of a quarterback. He's only taken his team to a Super Bowl game once in his career. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to find a serious football fan who will not tell you that Aaron Rodgers is probably a top 5, top 6, top 7 greatest quarterback of all time, even though he's only because you got to have a team. Right. So I reject that whole notion that you got to win more titles, but that's not up to the individual player. You got to have a team. You got to have a front office. You got to have all that. Championships are team awards. So anyway, that's just my little.
Shohei's working on that too, though.
Yes,
regardless of the argument.
All right, what's next?
The Jen Abides. I'm a huge Tron fan, love the latest film, but I still don't understand why they keep making these sequels that never make any money. I completely agree with you that this movie should not have been made, but I'll continue to rock out to the Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah,
music.
listen, I think the new Tron movie, Tron Ares, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I liked watching it. And you're right, the Nine Inch Nails.
So good.
The track, all the music in it is so good.
Yeah.
But there was never a door in Peacemaker's multi-universal closet that if you opened up, that a new Tron movie was going to be a hit. There's no world in the multiverse that was ever going to be reality. The last Tron movie was 15 years ago, wasn't that good, and underperformed at the box office. And now you're going to make another one 15 years later on a franchise that's already kind of given up the ghost. There was never any chance, which is why I said when they first announced it, I don't get it. Like, listen, I love the trailers, but I never believed it was going to make a ton of money. And nobody did. I will never understand the rationale of even making that movie. Now, listen, I'm glad I saw it, all that kind of stuff, but I'll never understand the reasoning behind making it. It never should have been made. It never had a chance.
Yeah. No
matter how good it was, it never had a chance. Anyway. All right, what's next?
We got Cato Octavius. Hey, John and crew, this show is part of my daily routine now.
Oh, thank you, man.
After seeing Tron Ares with you in Chicago, it hit me how special this community is. Appreciate you all. Bring on the filthy.
One of my favorite things, and there's a lot of things I love about doing the movie meetups, but one of my favorite things is when I look around and I see everybody who came, as everybody's waiting to meet me and get pictures and stuff like that. Seeing like 120 people meeting each other and hanging out. And I
Right.
remember, Ann and I think we were at one in San Diego or something like that. And at the end, like these two guys left, and because they were hanging out and talking, blah, 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 talking about stuff. And I just assumed they came together. And Ann was like, oh, no. Like these guys, those three people, they just met here tonight for the first time. And now they're like friends. And that has been like one of my favorite things, is watching fellow movie fans coming together, making new friends, like bonding over the things that we all share, that we love, movies and stuff like that. That's been absolutely one of the most rewarding things about doing these movie meetups. All right, what's next?
Naftali. It wasn't the Man of Steel review. It was Who Are the Guardians of the Galaxy with you and John Schnepp that introduced me to you. I've been watching ever since. I live in Canandaigua, New York. Sure, I could get that if I gave that more time. In the Finger Lakes region. I hope you'll visit this area someday.
Yeah, some of you may not know that
Canandaigua?
the way me and John Schnepp met was Guardians of the Galaxy was coming out. And I read a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy, but I didn't really know a lot about it. So I got a hold of a friend of mine who is very big in the world of comic books. I'll just leave it at that. And I asked him, I said, hey, do you know anybody that I could have as a guest on the show? I'm thinking about doing a segment about like introducing people to the Guardians of the Galaxy. And this friend of mine said, I got the guy for you. He's actually a director on Metalocalypse and all that kind of stuff. He said, his name's John Schnepp. Here's his contact info. So I reached out to Schnepp and we chatted. And so he came and did the show. And we had such a good time doing the show together. I said, we should do this more often. He said, yeah, man, just say when. And then I got to introduce John Schnepp to the movie fan world. And yeah, I mean, that was really one of the really cool things. Thank God for Guardians of the Galaxy, because it introduced us all to John Schnepp. All right, what's next?
Ric Flair's Martini, regardless of WBD sells whole or split, is it fair to say that Paramount's no longer the favorite to buy, or they've been rejected twice now? Like most people, I'd rather see Apple or Amazon buy them instead of Paramount or Comcast. P.S. Woo!
I would say, I think they're still the favorite to get it. Look, it's going to come down to this. Who's going to offer the most? And I think Paramount, look, I think Netflix wants the studio, but I think it's only worth a certain amount to them to do it. I think NBC Universal would like to get it, but I think it's only worth a certain amount to it. The reason I'm going to say that I still think Paramount's in the lead, again, my preference would be that Apple get it. My last death resort is I don't want Netflix getting it, but I think at the end of the day, from what I understand, the people who want it the most is Paramount. And I think this is going to come down to who wants it the most. Imagine this was an auction house, like you see in all the movies,
Right.
Like, do I hear $10, $10, $20? And then at some point, somebody goes, $5,000.
Yeah.
And it's not that the other people don't want the thing up for bid. It's just that I'm not going to go that high. I honestly think that's what's going to happen here. And Paramount's going to be the one that goes, $15, $20, $25, $17 million. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. They clearly are very motivated. They clearly have the money to do it because David Ellison's got Daddy Ellison's money at his disposal.
The fact that he's offering leadership.
And the fact that he's offering, and listen, Jonathan, you and I were talking about this before the show started. That's actually a really brilliant move. To bring in a guy like David Zaslav, who resuscitated Warner Brothers, to be the co-leader of this whole new enterprise.
That kind of sends a signal to me, and I'm not saying that's what it is. I have no idea what their incentive is, but that signals to me that they see a guy who raised this thing from the ashes up to, what was it, $70-some billion
That's where the thing
value.
it's going to be, yeah.
And I wonder if it's like, I want to raise Paramount back up from the ashes as well, but this guy knows how to do it best, and I want to partner with him.
Yeah, because he doesn't just know how to do it, he's done it.
Yeah.
He's done it with a studio that was literally on death's door.
Yeah.
And
why not have a guide?
why not bring him over? And listen, that seals the DeLuca and Abdi, who I'm sure will be the heads of the movie production studio. It'll ensure that James Gunn stays on because he'll want to keep working with David Zaslav. I mean, listen, there are some good things that can come out of Paramount. Look, I'm not saying I don't want Paramount to get it because I hate Paramount. Not at all. It's just that I would prefer an option in which Warner Brothers stays as an autonomous thing, which is what I think it would be if Apple got them. So anyway. All right, what's next?
We got Atli the Iceman. Hello, John and crew from Iceland. I love the show. Never miss an episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool. Our theaters back home are basic. If I visit a place with premium cinemas like where you live, what would you recommend? IMAX, 4DX. I mean, 4DX is more like a ride. Or Dolby Cinema. Keep up the great work. I prefer Dolby Cinema. Yes, it's a little bit smaller screen than IMAX, but man, those seats and the sound is great.
Yeah, listen, I get asked this question all the time. John, if you got to go see this movie, if it's going to be an IMAX or, AMC Prime, Dolby Cinema, listen, first of all, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
IMAX is great. IMAX is great. It's a wonderful viewing experience.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go into a theater and I have a choice of watching whatever the movie is on the IMAX screen or the Prime Dolby Cinema, I will go to the Prime Dolby Cinema. Like Jonathan said, the screens aren't quite as big, but that dual laser projection system is immaculate. I've never seen a movie presentation where the colors are so rich, the deeps are deeper, the brights are brighter. And then, of course, with the Dolby Atmos sound system, it's a fully immersive, wonderful experience. Again, I ain't going to turn down going to see an IMAX either, because IMAX is a great viewing experience too, but I lean towards the Dolby Cinema. Yeah. And having the motorized leather recliners help. That's pretty big too. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, hey, let me scroll down a little bit. Hey, John, I was wondering if you saw Monster the Ed Gein story on Netflix. I really have a problem with Ryan Murphy, the showrunner. Almost everything in the show is false to the real events that happen. Don't mind bending the truth with characters loosely based on the real life killers, like Norman Bates or Leatherface. Because those are fake people. But this show uses real people that were murdered and give false facts. That can be touchy. I just see this show and other shows like this very concerning to the public, victims, and their families.
Okay, so to answer the first question, no, I haven't watched it yet because I didn't watch the first Monster one either.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I love the guy in it, obviously, but I haven't watched it. Not my kind of show. I'm probably not going to watch it. That said, I don't care if they don't get the facts right. If I want to watch something that is giving me the actual facts,
You do the documentary.
I watch a documentary.
And they make real good true crime documentaries.
There are if what you're after is the actual true facts of something, read a book or watch a documentary.
Man, Night Stalker on Netflix, so good about Night Stalker.
Yeah, when it comes to dramatizations of stories and making them into movies and films, listen, I've said this all the time. People don't like it when I say it, but it's the truth. It's often lonely being right. But is that the number one job of a showrunner or a filmmaker is not to be as accurate as possible. It's to make the best show possible or make the best movie possible. And I think we as people are intelligent enough. Like, listen, I don't think people, after watching Inglourious Bastards, actually think the Second World War ended after Hitler was burned to death in a movie theater. I don't think anybody actually believes that. Right? I mean, listen, do I appreciate it when it sticks as close to the real facts? Sure, that makes it even more impressive. And I'm just speaking for myself, I don't need, if I'm going to see a movie, I just assume not everything in it is completely historically accurate. I don't need it to be. I'm going to see a movie. I'm not going to see a documentary. So for me, it's not an issue. It really isn't. I really don't care how close or far off they go. It's because I know I'm watching fiction. I as long as it's not advertised as the absolute true story.
Right.
That's when the term started getting introduced, based on a true story. When I see something like that, I know, hey, some of this is how it happened, but there's probably a bunch of it that it's not how it happened. That's okay. I'm here to see a movie. I'm not here for a history lesson. Again, that's just me, but you're asking me. So my opinion is I really don't care if they take liberties with it, because unless it's a documentary, which it should be 100% fact, then I don't really care.
All right.
All right. What's next?
Forbidden would, I can't remember the dates you said that you're going back east again, but Forbidden says would be a total missed opportunity to skip New Orleans around Halloween, but totally get it. Not a very big city, and there are other attractions around this time. So hard to tell if anyone would show up. Also, beware New Orleans witches as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I just don't know if there's anybody in New Orleans. Like, honestly, I put up a post because it would be really easy for us to stop in New Orleans.
I love New Orleans
because it's literally right along the way.
If nothing else, just to drive through and go eat somewhere and then keep going. But
yeah, I've also heard it's a very dangerous city, but I don't know about that, if that's true or not. But I literally put up a post in our community tab.
You'd be in the French Quarter most of the time.
And I think maybe one person said, yeah, I'm in New Orleans. I'd go to it. So I just don't know that listen, we're a small 2-bit little YouTube channel. We don't have like hundreds of millions of fans all over the world that in any city we stop in, there's going to be 100 or 200 people show up to a movie theater. I just don't know that we have viewers in New Orleans. That's all. So I would love to, but I just don't know that we have actual viewers there.
This is our final tip here. Mr. I says, imagine if Disney throws their hat in the ring for Warner Brothers, offers similar to Paramount, but adds the stipulation that Zaslav is groomed to be Iger's successor. I know not going to happen, but would be interesting.
Well, number one, yeah, they would be impossible because Disney is a very different company from Warner Brothers. Disney is also is a theme parks company and a cruise line company, and that's a lot of their biggest stuff. So that's not a good fit whatsoever. The reason I don't think, and I said this a little bit earlier, the reason I don't think, and I could be wrong, that we're going to see Disney get involved in the bidding here is like, it was not many years ago that they had to drop like 70 or 80 billion dollars to buy 20th Century. And that's not just something you bounce back from. And I don't think they're just going to have another 75, 85 billion just to drop on it. So I don't think we're going to see them be a part of it. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys very much for your support. Big thanks, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett for being here, our technical producer, Jonathan Boyko.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea, and until tomorrow, my friends, bye-bye.